Devil's joint, New Jersey Devils. Devil's joint.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Devils You Know, New Jersey Devils trivia and history, as you know.
Heart
And if you don't know,
and soul,
now you do.
baby, there is no goal.
This is our little
Turn the
jam.
lights on bright.
Adam
You're
Green.
a rock and roll star. Feel
Says I prepare
my
myself.
love coming from the heavens above. When my eyes meet your eyes, you know it's true.
Oh, right. I love hearing that. Don't you like hearing this? That's a Tdyk and a Chico together. Tdyk and a Chico. Anyway, speaking of Tdyk and Chico, back in their days, on March 24th, 2000, Alexander Mogilny, probably the best Russian player to ever play hockey. He had some injury problems. You know what? In that era, and I gotta say Ovechkin. But in my opinion, Mogilny was better than Bure for sure. Maybe not Fedorov, but he was definitely bigger and better than Bure. He was the first one to come over here. He's the only one who had the balls to do it. Fedorov and Bure snarled at him and wanted his family and him to be killed for what he did, for his defection, as they call it. And you can check out on the Devil's Joint YouTube channel. If you go to the Devil's Joint YouTube channel, you could just type in defector, and you'll find that documentary. Anyway, on March 24, 2000, Mogilny scored his first goal for the Devils ever, and it was an 8. Imagine your debut game as a Devil, and it's an 8-2 win against the Islanders in the Nassau Coliseum. I was at that game because I went to every game at the Nassau Coliseum due to living down the street from there when I was growing up. And actually today, it's almost similar, but I actually could walk there when I was a child. I could leave my house before I was even able to drive, say, bye, Mom, without even needing a bike, and walk to the Nassau Coliseum and the Marriott. I met every player you could ever think of from the 90s, from 1993 until 2005. Anyone who came through to play the Islanders, I met at least once. I didn't always ask for autographs, even as a kid. There was a lot of people around there that were trying to get autographs to sell, and everyone was always careful of it, and they would even use kids, just like drug dealers do. Use kids like to say, "Hey, can I have your autograph?" But it was so obvious, like the things I have signed are like little things, or like an old dirty jersey like I have behind me. Bobby Carpenter, John McClane, who's on there? Randy McKay, Brian Rafalski from a different time, and Brian Rolston on that jersey. 8-2 victory. He scored against Kevin Weeks for the Islanders. I just posted a video of Kevin Weeks' debut in the playoffs against the Devils while he was a Hurricane. It was his Hurricanes debut as in the playoffs, Game 3 of the 2002 playoffs. Now, if you got the email, if you're subscribed to my Substack, you would have seen my article about the lost season, 2002, 2001, 2002. The Devils went from 100-plus points in... First of all, they won the Stanley Cup in 95 in a shortened season. We don't count the points in that season. Then 96, 97, they only came out with 80-something points or was it 95 points? One of them is 85, one 86, one of them is 95, whatever. They didn't make the playoffs the year after. Crazy. But then 96, that was 95, 96. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Then 96, 97, over 100. 97, 98, over 100. 98, 99, over 100. 99, 2000, over 100. 2000, 2001, over 100. 2001, 2002, under 100. Third place in the Atlantic. Wiped out in the first round. 2003, Stanley Cup champions again. So it's the lost season. People always forget about that season right in the middle and what happened to it. So please check out my Substack and read about that season and all the things that happened in that season that made it that lost season in the middle of a Devils. You know, if the Devils would have won the 2001 Cup, they would have already been considered a dynasty. But if they would have even been, went to the finals or even the Eastern Conference Finals in 2002, it would have even helped. But they didn't have it that year. They had a coaching change, and they had to make a player change, which won them a Stanley Cup in 2003, and that involved Peter Sikora. If you remember, for Jeff Friesen and some other players, of course, Oleg Tverdovsky came over. We'll go to that horrible season in 95, 96. Which four players scored? But we had four players on the Devils that scored 20-plus goals, though. And which four players were they? That's the question I'm asking. This is a trivia question. So think about it for a second. 95, 96, another season where, basically it was a Stanley Cup hangover. But there were injuries. There's some changes that were made. Everyone forgets this, and I'm going to give you the answer in a second. I'm letting you think about it, but remember Chris Terreri. Just give Chris Terreri his due. He might be, and I'm gonna bring it up. If you take this idea, I know who you are. If I see this come from you, I know you took it from me, because I know. I've seen you do it already. But 95, 96. The Devils had a huge dip, right? They had a problem. What did I just say? A Stanley Cup hangover? Well, you know what? I don't even know if I can get into it. Whatever. Which four players scored at least 20 goals for the Devils in 95-96? Bill Guerin, John McClain, Stéphane Richer, Steve Thomas. Steve Thomas, of course. November 21st, 2009. Rookie defenseman Tyler Eckford recorded his first career point in his first career in his debut during a 5-3 loss against the Dallas Stars at American Airlines Center. He assisted on a second period power play goal by Brian Ralston. Yeah. You know what? I was gonna say something about I'm really sorry for cutting myself off there, but I don't even want to I don't even want to throw the idea out there because it's gonna get taken from me. Which Devils goaltender won the 2009 Martin Brodeur? That's the answer to that question. I'm not gonna play games. On October 13th, 2010, forward Adam Mayer made his New Jersey Devils regular season debut during a 1-0 overtime victory against the Sabres at HSBC Arena. What number did he wear? Do you remember? It was, what year is it? 2010. His number was just left the team, and they replaced his number 11. Johnny Madden, numero 11. Yes. John Madden is, of course, a legend. Put the Brat signal up. Which goalie did the Devils lose to Minnesota Wild in 2000? All right. Here's the thing. Because I'm gonna talk about it. And if this idea is taken from me, like I said before, I know who took it. I know where you got it from. I know you're listening to this, and I appreciate it. I love you guys, and I love you specifically, the one person I'm talking about. Now, let me go on the little rant I was gonna go on. Chris Terreri was basically the Devils' bread and butter in goal. Chris Terreri, definitely a starting goaltender, no doubt about it. Great goalie. Won the cup with Brodeur, of course, but I believe the Devils could have still won the cup with Terreri in '95. Now, Terreri leaves, goes to San Jose, wherever, whatever, herever, wherever, whenever, wherever we're meant to be together. Shakira, whatever. Devils don't go to the Stanley Cup Finals again until 2000. They win the Stanley Cup. Who's the backup goalie for that 2000 Stanley Cup winning team? Who? Chris Terreri. Right? So, basically, what I want to do is put the idea out there that Chris Terreri should be put into the Ring of Honor. So what do you think about that? You think it's a good idea? I'm gonna write up a little thing on Chris Terreri as to give him Ring of Honor. To put up, write something up about his stats or whatever, to give him that, he's a Devils legend, Chris Terreri. He's won 2 cups with the Devils. Now, remember, in 2001, the Devils went to the finals, lost in Game 7. Their backup was John Van Beesbrook, and he was also the backup in that 2001-2002 season that went to shit. Johnny Beezer, Johnny the Bee. The Beezer, the Big Bees. I wrote about him. In the thing. In that thing. So anyway, Chris Terreri. What do you think about Chris Terreri? Do you think he should get a Ring of Honor? Like Sergei Brylin, John McMullen, Jacques Lemaire. Should Chris Terreri? I think he should. He's part of that. He won 2 cups out of the 3 with the Devils. I mean, you could also say something the same for Claude Lemieux because he won a Conn Smythe and he was very important to 2 of those teams as well. But I wonder why they didn't bring him back in 2003. I should look into if they even tried. They might have. You never know. Do you think the Devils should have brought Claude Lemieux back in 2003 at the trade deadline to make that run that they won? They went to Game 7. They probably wouldn't have went to Game 7. They probably would have just won it outright in like 4 or 5 if Claude Lemieux was around. So he was still in his, he was still rocking, and he won a cup in the 80s, with Stefan Richer. Anyway, I'm going to end this, and that's it. Thank you very much for listening. This has been the Devils You Know, History and Trivia, and I'll talk to you next time. The Rangers fucking suck.
Devil's joint, New Jersey Devils. Devil's joint.